So it's the build-up to the May 29 elections, and here on the AM report, what we're going to do now heading into the elections is that every morning around about this time we'll be speaking to a leader of a political party to just check in with them how the campaign is going, and also some of the current affairs issues and related, all of course related to politics. And today we're starting off the conversation with Mosiuoa Lekota, who is calling time on his career after the May 29 elections. The man, once known by his nickname Terra, says his days of party politics are nearing an end. After leading COPE since 2008, the party was launched in December 2008 after some ANC members were left angered at the outcomes of the Polokwane conference, where former President Thabo Mbeki lost to former President Jacob Zuma. COPE launched its election manifesto in Hammanskraal, in a place where even the most basic of services like water supply are in jeopardy. It is this crucial point that a veteran of the liberation struggle is stepping aside, and he joins us now in studio to have this conversation with us. And Dr. Mosiuoa Lekota, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
So we reflected there on the launch of COPE back in 2008, and I want to start off here, just go straight into it. Is COPE dying?
No, definitely not. In fact, I think the party is now finding fertile ground since its birth, because there's very many people now who realize that when we warned about the dangers of the leadership the ANC was at that time choosing, that they came to pass. And very many of the people are coming back to say, you know, we should have listened to you and your colleagues. And we think that what is now called by the ANC, by the way, the 9 wasted years would not have happened had we listened to you.
Mm-hmm. But 2009, COPE secured 30 seats in Parliament. The next elections, 2014, COPE only got, what, 3 seats? And then 2014, it was 3 seats, and then in 2019, it is 2 seats. Those are the signs of a party that's dying.
That was as long as the people still believed that what they call the 9 wasted years were not actually the 9 wasted years. Today, I think the ANC has admitted publicly, without anybody forcing them, to say that these were 9 wasted years. And they were wasted because we did not listen to the advice we were given at the time. And we are finding very many people coming back to the Congress of the People to say, we would like to give an opportunity, we would like to support, and would like to put energy into the observations that were done, especially when we look at the fact that the Congress of the People, since its beginning until now, has never been accused of stealing public funds or wasting public funds.
But have you ever been part of a government somewhere?
Yeah, we were, yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, I was the defense minister.
No, I'm speaking about COPE.
No, we've never been.
Yeah.
We've never been. We've never been because we were not given the credibility we deserved for warning about the dangers and the weaknesses that were there. It's only now very many people say now we realize that we should have given you the opportunity instead of allowing for the amount of corruption which Zondo Commission exposed, and which very many other instances have come, including at the present time, the numbers of people who are stealing money both at home and abroad, who are putting monies in pillows and sofas and all of that, who are stealing money from the state budgets and so on.
Yeah. That was once your comrade that you're referring to there, former president, well, not former president, but was the former Secretary General of the ANC at some point. And you also became part of the leadership of the ANC at some point as the chairperson of the party.
Oh, yes, certainly I was, yes, at that time. That was before we reached this point that when we warned about what has now come to be called the 9 wasted years. And we left and we pointed out that the kind of leadership you are putting in place is one that's going to sink the African National Congress. And they've done that. I'm not hiding, I'm not running away from the fact that I joined the African National Congress on Robben Island. And I came out of Robben Island convinced and satisfied that the policies the African National Congress pursued and all of that were correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I joined the African National Congress. That's why I worked with them, and that's why I was ultimately made the Minister of Defense under the government of Comrade Thabo Mbeki. I had been before that the Premier of the Free State. I had gone to the Senate and took over from Kobi Kotsie. I was the first chairperson of the Council of Provinces. And then after that, and then of course, as I say, I was taken to the National Assembly and became Minister of Defense for 10 years.
How much responsibility, though, as Mosiuoa Lekota, do you take for the instability of the party? The leader, you are the leader of the party, you remain the leader of the party since it's launched. Remember the fallout between yourself as well as Mbaziwe Shilowa. That fallout amongst the leadership continued even into 2023. You have Willie Madisha, who's now been expelled. You have Colleen Makubela, who was once the Speaker of the City of Johannesburg, also being expelled by the party. How much responsibility, though, as Mosiuoa Lekota, do you take for the state of the party?
No, sir. If I may take you very briefly through all of that. When I was, when we started the Congress of the People, what we didn't know was that there were people that were sent into the Congress of the People from the ANC to come in and destabilize us and so on. You see, if you look at the emblem of the Congress of the People, you'll see that the red at the top is there at the top, the blue is below. We sent somebody to go and register that emblem consistent with the colors of the national flag, consistent. The red had to be at the top, the blue down there. But the person we sent to go and register that decided to shift the red to the corner and the blue to the opposite side. And that was to send the message that the Congress of the People was against the national flag, the change that had come to pass. We took a very strong exception to this, and I personally went to the IEC and signed for the correct positioning of those, because we were always committed, as we are until today, to the national flag as it stands. And we wanted that to be clear that we are not leaving the ANC because we are against the change. And because that change is all reflected in our policy position in the freedom.
So how does that relate to the infiltration that you speak of the party?
Because after we defeated those people, there was an attempt, I even had to go to court, and I testified, and the court found that we were the correct people and dismissed Shilowa and all of that. Now this has nothing to do with internal, it's not an internal squabble, it's the correction of the policy positions. And Shilowa was dismissed, and I was confirmed. There was Dandala who was put in. In fact, when Cope went into Parliament, I was not even in Parliament myself. And afterwards, I went in after the...
But do you take any responsibility, though?
No.
As the leader of the party, your party started off with 30 seats in Parliament. It now stands at 2 over a period of 10 years.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that there's nothing, what did I do, except that I went to the court and laid the evidence there, and the court said, no, you are right. And the people who were opposing you are wrong. And after that, you referred to what, you referred to something else?
Willie Madisha, there's Colleen Makubela.
Now, look, the question of Willie Madisha, I became ill in the recent period with prostate cancer. And while I was ill, there was an attempt by Madisha and others to say, no, we want you to go off the leadership and we must put somebody else. I unable to do anything about it myself. But the party then said, no, the Constitution at Section 7, it prescribes that once a person has served 2 terms, such a person can no longer take a 3rd term. And I respect the rule of law. So I said, well, there's the rule of law. There's the Constitution saying this. What we need is to call a Congress so that the Congress can then remove me and put whoever it wants in that place. And I remain firm on that position to this day.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, by the time that had been done, Madisha and Bloom and the others were dismissed from the party because they refused to come to discuss the matter in the meeting of the Congress National Committee.
Okay, we'll pick up on the conversation. We're in conversation now with Mosiuoa Lekota, who is the leader of the Congress of the People. But earlier on, you were still explaining the issue in relation to Willie Madisha's expulsion. And then we're going to deal with that of Colleen Makubela.
Well, Madisha and them were invited by the Congress National Committee to a meeting to explain why they think they should remove me from the leadership without a Congress. Because I said, I don't have the power to appoint somebody to lead me.
But were you willing to step down?
I was willing to obey the Constitution, and I remain to this day willing. Because a section of the Constitution prescribes that I can't be president for more than 2 terms. I've said that again and again and again.
Yeah.
Can we go to a Congress? The Congress National Committee then decided that the elections are too close now. As soon as the elections are done, we will call a Congress of the party, and at that Congress, the people must elect somebody else. For goodness sake, that is the rule of law. It's in the constitution of our party. It's just like our national constitution. It says the same thing.
Yeah. But you've continued to lead the party past those 2 terms.
No, but...
Is it not true? The party is founded in 2008. You continue to be the president of the party, which means that you've gone beyond those 2 terms.
No, but you must remember that even when the party went to parliament, it was under Dandal. I was not the president. You know, I became the president after the court had ruled on the issues that they were debating at that time. Now, I would start, therefore, when I started, now I have finished that 2 terms.
Yeah. And
I am saying to the membership, and the Congress National Committee has accepted this, that we must call a Congress. It is the members of the Congress of the people who can decide who must succeed me. I can't myself appoint somebody like, it's not a family money or something, you know. Yeah. I'm going to say who.
You're not building a dynasty here.
Yeah.
And then Colleen Makubela, because when we spoke to Colleen Makubela, she said that you had agreed that they will form part of SARA.
Let me cut that extremely short. You can ask all the political parties that were involved in our discussions. We all agreed that we must find agreement. We must go and report to our various political parties what agreement was reached. At no stage did we ever go back to report that we have now agreed. One thing we had decided on was that the name will be South African Rainbow Alliance.
Yeah.
But even that, we hadn't even gotten a chance to go and report it back.
But you agreed to the name?
The name we agreed to.
Okay.
So when we were supposed to go and report and then come back with the mandates that, no, it's acceptable and you can go ahead, we were suddenly confronted with publication of those declarations that she's the president and all of that. We had never said in one meeting to select who's going to be the chairperson or president or whatever the position.
Yeah.
And so we said, no, if then this thing has already been decided outside of the meeting of the parties, then sorry, but we can't be part of it.
Okay, let me quickly ask you on this. This is a question that has always been lingering. Former President Thabo Mbeki, we know how the Congress of the People was formed. Was former President Thabo Mbeki involved in the formation of the Congress of the People? Was he ever consulted around that this is what the likes of yourself and Bazi Mashilowa are planning?
No. Look, I must be I must not be unfair. I don't remember ever that President Thabo Mbeki agreed that he was going to be a member of the Congress of the People or that he took a membership. I've never been aware that. I know that he was close to us because we had been close with him. We had worked with him in the thing and so on, but I honestly don't know that he ever took the membership of the Congress of... His mother did take the membership of the Congress of the People, which is why I was even at her funeral. I was there, and when we buried her and so on.
Was he consulted, though? Was he told that there's a
I
Congress
think
of the People that is going to be formed? And what was his view?
Some of the comrades, I think, spoke to him. Talking about myself personally, I never discussed the issue with him, whether he wants to be part of the Congress of the People. I thought that he was my senior, and I thought he had the right. If he wanted to be part of the Congress of the People, he would have said to me, I want to be part of this, please include me, and so on. But I would be lying about him if I said he ever did anything like that, or that I asked him for something like that.
So the phrase, the Dalai Lama, just came about. You don't know how that came about? The Dalai Lama of the Congress of the People, in reference to former President Thabo Mbeki.
No, I don't know about that.
You don't know about that? Okay. You're the former defense minister as well. One of the biggest corruption cases to come out of the dawn of our democracy is in relation to into the arms deal. As the former defense minister, when you took over office, what is it that you found?
When I took over the defense force, there was no question of, what do you call that?
The arms deal.
The arms deal, no. Look, I was never involved with the arms deal. I don't know much about, I cannot tell you much about the arms deal. I was appointed the Minister of Defense under President Thabo Mbeki, and I served as a minister for 10 years. There was never the question of the arms deal that I had to deal with, really.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have assisted then with the investigations in relation to allegations around the arms deal and bribes that were paid?
No.
As the minister then?
I never was involved in any of the deals that were spoken about. I know there was a lot of talk about that thing, but I was not part of it at all.
You are not part of it. Okay, let's now move over to the current elections, of course. The promises that the party has made. This is now speaking about the Congress of the People. One of the issues that you are speaking on in your manifesto is in relation to some of the electoral reforms. What electoral reforms is it that the Congress of the People still want to see, considering that there's already been some level of reforms?
Well, one of the first things, in our view, we think that the current government is quite huge. And in our view, we were very sympathetic, I think, to the view of Tito Mboweni, who thought that we needed to cut government down so that more of public funds can be devoted to other areas. For instance, the education and all of the other needs of the people of our country. Now, we remain sympathetic to this, particularly because apartheid had denied African sections of the population. In fact, not just that Africans, colored and Indian sections of the population. There are areas of education that were we were completely kept out of them. And that's why we don't have the technology. The technology that was available at that time was devoted to the education of whites and all of that. Now, people don't understand how come that you look at ESCOM, you look at all these public-owned enterprises. We have very little training and education for the black sections of the population. Had apartheid not denied us that, it would have been much, much easier to take over. There's Sasol, ISCOR is gone. All of these things that were so efficient and working so well at that time, because we didn't have personnel that could carry them forward, we find ourselves in these difficulties. And we hold the view that it's important to reduce the size of government so that more and more of the resources, public finances, must go towards opening, for instance, all the technology you can get. You know, if, as I said in Hammanskraal, we would like to include voluntary military training, because that is the area that if we opened it up, lots of the young people of our country can go and get all the necessary training.
Yep.
Aeroplanes, building cars, building roads, building huge buildings that we have in the country and all of that. All of those things, running these public enterprises that are now failing us and so on. But in order to be able to do that, we need to get as much of the public funding as possible to open those opportunities.
Speaking about funding, the President has signed the Electoral Amendments Bill into law, which of course you know then removes that 15 million rand cap. As the Congress of the People, how did you vote on this?
Well, look, I have not been into much of these activities because, you know, of my condition. I was not... but look, if there is more funding that goes into the area of looking at uplifting our people, I never forget that the leaders of our country, when we were on Robben Island, the leaders said to us, the day we get to power, please, we don't rush to dismiss this white section of the population from these areas of work that they are in, because we need the knowledge, the know-how. We need them to sustain us as we move into that, so that our children can begin to learn and take over some of the information, the knowledge that would enable us to continue to maintain South Africa into freedom and using personnel that we would have trained in this country. Look, we didn't even have doctors. We had to go and get doctors from
So does it mean that, can we say that perhaps maybe the ANC wasn't ready to govern?
The mistake, the serious mistake, was to try and get rid as quickly as possible of people that knew how to continue to maintain the running of our country deep into democracy. Okay,
just a quick final one. You say that the Congress of the People is also making this proposal, removing all bail provisions for corruption-accused persons. Tell us more about that.
Just say that again.
Remove all bail provisions for corruption-accused persons. So removing all possibility of getting a bail for a person who is accused of corruption. What do you mean by this?
These are people who have been stealing public funds.
But they are accused. They haven't been found guilty. So why remove the bail provision?
Well, then you must charge them. You must charge them. We cannot leave criminals and say, no, they must not have bail. You must charge them. They must account for that money. It's public funds, which we must recover.
Okay.
In order we can train our people and educate them and provide them with, for instance, a pension payout to the people who've lived their lives and paid, but never get rewarded and so on.
And Lekota, in conclusion, of course, you have indicated that you are retiring, which was a bit strange because you were on the list.
No, I didn't say I'm retiring. People don't understand.
Okay.
I'm saying I am not allowed. I will remain a member of the Congress of the People, active in the party, but I can only do the little that the party...
So does this mean that you will be going back to Parliament if Cope does get a seat?
Not as a member of Parliament, because not as a president of the party.
No.
I don't think...
As Mosiuoa Lekota, if the Congress of the People does secure a seat in Parliament, will you then be returning to Parliament?
If the membership of the party decided, I don't know what Congress will decide.
Yeah. But you're on top of the list.
It's only to carry it through this election. As soon as this election is finished, we are going to a Congress. That Congress must choose somebody else to lead the Congress of the People.
Sure, I'm not speaking about the leadership of the Congress of the People.
If I'm not the leader,
about whether or not you, as Mosiuoa Lekota, would be available to go back to Parliament.
That is a decision which the Congress of the People
But the Congress would only come many weeks even after the elections, and the results would have been out. So is Mosiuoa Lekota returning to Parliament?
If the Congress of the People says so, then that is out of my hands. But I am saying I have done my duty. I can do any other thing, but I can't go and lead the party in Parliament. I really can't.
Okay. So if there's one seat, that means you're not available. That seat must go to
I'm
the
not
leader.
available. If I may, I'm not available. But if I cannot overrule a Congress. If it made a decision that go and sit in Parliament and do whatever they say, I can go and do that. But I doubt that they will do that.
Yeah. But do you think about your own health, though? To say that, am I still capable? Do I have the capacity to go back to Parliament? Yeah,
it's very difficult to judge yourself. You know, the people will say, we think you must go back to Parliament. If they say, no, we don't think you can go to Parliament, I'm not going to argue against them. I'll just walk away. But my membership, I will retain.
Your membership you'll retain.
And if I'm given a task, I'll go and do a task.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Mosiuoa Lekota is the leader of the Congress of the People. Really appreciate it. And we'll continue the series speaking to various political party leaders as we head into the elections. Coming up,